Senator Patty Murray and Director Kash Patel entered the same hearing room, but only one came prepared. Almost immediately, Murray revealed alarming details that should concern every American. Under Patel's leadership, the FBI is not merely struggling, it is functioning without clear guidance, strategy, or the legally mandated plan that informs Congress how the Bureau intends to protect the nation. There is no detailed budget, no timeline, and no concrete answers. When Murray probed further, what emerged was far more serious than simple political missteps. Children's safety and other critical priorities are at risk. This is high-stakes work with real consequences. Murray expressed deep concern that, instead of focusing on the FBI's core mission to keep Americans safe and enforce the law impartially, the Bureau has been politicized. Resources meant for counterterrorism are being shifted toward immigration enforcement, leaving Americans more vulnerable. She highlighted the combination of diverted priorities, fewer agents, and increasing political influence all happening under Patel's watch. Turning to the budget, Murray and other members, including Ranking Member Van Holland, emphasized that this hearing is proceeding without the FBI's fiscal year 2025 spending plan or the full fiscal year 2026 budget request. By law, the FY25 spending plan should have been submitted over a week ago. For an agency with a $10.7 billion budget, transparency in spending taxpayer dollars is crucial. When asked, Patel could not provide a timeline for when the FY25 plan would be delivered, stating only that he was working with interagency partners and would provide it eventually. Murray pointed out that this response effectively means the FBI is not following the law. Similarly, the FY26 budget request remains incomplete, with Patel unable to confirm when Congress could expect it. Without these documents, lawmakers cannot properly perform their oversight or budgeting duties. Murray also noted that since 2023, the FBI has lost 1,900 employees due to the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Despite this reduction, agents, analysts, linguists, cyber experts, and scientists are being asked to do much more to maintain national security, underscoring the urgent need for proper leadership, planning, and resources at the Bureau. Director Patel, it is widely understood that budget cuts will weaken the FBI's ability to stop terrorist threats. These reductions would slow firearm background checks and force the shutdown of programs that target violent crime, drug trafficking, gangs, and transnational organized crime. You told members of the House yesterday that you do not want to reduce the FBI workforce, which directly contradicts what President Trump has proposed. When asked about this, you responded that you believe the FBI can maintain its mission under the proposed budget and that you support it, while also stating that the Bureau could accomplish far more if given additional resources. This explanation raised serious concerns because it does not match your earlier testimony. Senator Murray pressed further, asking what message you are sending to the President and the White House about the FBI's actual needs. Without a formal budget request submitted to Congress, it remains unclear what resources the Bureau is requesting or advocating for. When asked directly what you are asking Congress for, you stated that you are not asking for anything at this time, creating confusion about how the FBI is expected to operate without a clear and approved budget. Moving to another critical issue, Murray emphasized the FBI's essential partnerships with state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies. These partnerships provide intelligence and operational support that local communities cannot manage alone, particularly when confronting violent crime, gangs, terrorism, and fentanyl trafficking. She cited a major drug bust in Southeast Washington, where an FBI Safe Streets task force worked with county sheriffs, city police departments, and the state corrections system to carry out one of the largest drug seizures in the region's history. Despite the importance of these partnerships, the administration has proposed cutting more than $800 million in assistance to local law enforcement in 2025, alongside a proposed $500 million reduction to the FBI itself. Murray questioned how the FBI can continue protecting communities when its local partners are losing critical funding. Patel responded that the FBI will maintain its joint task forces, including terrorism, gang, and safe streets task forces, stating that these positions have not been reduced and remain a priority. He also claimed that reprogramming efforts would result in increased FBI presence in every state. Murray responded that such claims require evidence, reiterating the need for concrete budget, numbers, and documentation. The discussion then shifted to the FBI's role in firearm background checks through the NEED system. Murray stressed that the FBI plays a frontline role in preventing dangerous individuals from accessing firearms and that the background check system is widely supported by the American public. She asked Patel to commit to continuing funding and operation of the system, to which he responded affirmatively. In her final remarks, Murray raised concerns about how FBI resources are being directed. She warned that President Trump has turned the Department of Justice into a political weapon aimed at perceived opponents, and that recent actions within the FBI are deeply troubling. Career agents have been reassigned or forced out for political reasons, while a climate of fear and intimidation has spread throughout the Bureau, including the use of polygraph tests on its own employees. We have already seen the arrest of a sitting judge in Wisconsin, raising serious questions about the FBI's operations. During his confirmation hearing, Director Patel promised there would be no politicization or retribution under his leadership. Yet reports indicate that some FBI employees involved in the January 6th investigations have been placed on leave. Senator Murray asked whether this aligns with Patel's commitment to impartiality. Patel denied any wrongdoing, calling the claims wildly inaccurate and pointing to the Bureau's record since his tenure. Began over 8,200 federal arrests, 820 kilograms of seized fentanyl, enough to kill hundreds of thousands, more than 3,000 firearms cases, 350 gang prosecutions, and thousands of cases against violent criminals. When pressed further about potential politicization, Patel argued that the examples cited by Murray were misleading, and that no one had been placed on leave without violating ethical obligations or their oath to the Constitution. Even when questioned about an analyst involved in investigating Russia's interference in the 2016 election, Patel maintained that actions taken were based on law and ethics, not politics. He emphasized that the FBI holds itself accountable internally and will remain committed to its mission, regardless of outside perceptions about politicization. Senator Murray and other lawmakers stressed that the FBI must remain focused on its primary mission, keeping the nation safe, not being used for partisan purposes. The urgency of this issue became even clearer when Murray confronted Patel about the FBI's missing fiscal year 2025 spending plan, a legally required document that was already overdue. This plan is critical for Congress to understand how the Bureau plans to allocate its $10.7 billion budget. When asked for a timeline, Patel could not provide even a draft or estimate, offering only vague promises that the information would eventually be provided for the country's leading law enforcement agency to attend a budget. Hearing empty-handed is not only unusual, it is unprecedented. Murray's repeated questioning highlighted the seriousness of the situation, but Patel continued to provide only general assurances, insisting he was following the law. However, a legally required document missing for over a week appears less like compliance and more like evasion. And this lack of transparency was only the beginning, as the hearing revealed deeper concerns about the Bureau's direction and priorities. The situation at the FBI was unfolding while the Bureau had already lost over 1,900 employees. Analysts, agents, cyber specialists, linguists, and scientists were all gone due to massive budget cuts from the Trump era. These were not just paper-pushing bureaucrats, they were the frontline personnel who track domestic extremists, monitor online predators, prevent cyber attacks, and disrupt trafficking networks before they grow. Senator Murray made it clear, every one of these departures weakens national security, and without a new budget or even a plan in place, these losses are likely to continue. When Murray asked Patel how he planned to keep the country safe with a shrinking workforce, he repeatedly responded, "I can do more with more." But that answer avoided the real issue. He wasn't asking for more resources. He arrived at a budget hearing with no formal budget request at all. That prompted Murray to shift the conversation to another critical topic, the politicization of the FBI. She didn't make accusations, she presented evidence. She cited reports showing that career agents working on January 6th cases had been reassigned or pushed out. She mentioned the analyst investigating Russian election interference who had been placed on leave. She described a growing climate of fear in the Bureau, including polygraphs, loyalty checks, and internal pressure, all clear signs of a workplace under political strain. Patel denied any politicization, insisting that anyone placed on leave had violated ethical obligations or their oath to the Constitution. But when Murray asked whether investigating January 6th could be considered an ethical violation, Patel sidestepped the question entirely. His defensiveness only heightened concern, and Murray pressed the central issue. An FBI director, promising no weaponization while actions suggested otherwise. The tension escalated when Murray questioned how the Bureau could operate without adequate funding, especially after the Trump administration cut more than $800 million in support to local law enforcement in 2025. Patel offered no specifics, pointing only to existing task forces of streets, joint terrorism, and gang units, and claimed that their positions had not been reduced. But Murray emphasized the reality. Without actual numbers or a budget, there was no way to verify these claims. For communities nationwide, FBI partnerships are not symbolic, they are essential. Local police departments rely on the Bureau for intelligence, resources, backup, and expertise, particularly in operations too large for smaller agencies to manage. Murray highlighted a massive drug seizure in Washington's Tri-Cities that was only possible through FBI collaboration. Without stable funding, such cooperation becomes slower, more difficult, and less effective. She then raised another critical point: gun background checks. The FBI's NEAT system is the last line of defense to keep firearms out of dangerous hands, relying on trained personnel, modern systems, and consistent funding. Murray asked Patel to commit to continuing and funding the program, which enjoys widespread public support. Patel agreed, but with the broader issues of missing budgets, no timeline, and a lack of transparency, his commitment felt hollow. After all, what does it mean to promise action when the director has no control over the Bureau's own budget request? Murray chose not to press further on that point. She didn't need to press further. The contradiction was already clear. Instead, Murray turned to the issue that truly set the room on edge: the FBI's shifting priorities. Under Director Patel's leadership, she said, resources were being pulled away from counterterrorism efforts and redirected toward immigration enforcement. Agents assigned to investigate domestic extremism and political violence were reportedly reassigned. A sitting judge in Wisconsin had been arrested under circumstances that raised serious questions. Career officials who followed evidence and procedure were allegedly punished simply for doing their jobs, Murray reminded Patel of the promise he made during his confirmation hearing: no retaliation, no politicization, no bending the FBI to serve political interests. But the pattern emerging told a very different story. Patel's response only intensified the confrontation. He accused Murray of putting words in his mouth, claimed he was the victim of a previously weaponized bureau, and positioned himself as the one cleaning it up. But claims of political victimhood are not proof. They distract from the facts. And Murray refused to be distracted. She brought the discussion back to the core issue: the FBI's mission to protect the entire country. That mission cannot survive without a budget. It cannot function amid mass staff losses. It cannot endure political purges disguised as ethics reviews. And it cannot succeed under leadership that avoids direct answers to basic oversight questions. Murray ended her questioning with a warning, not just to Patel or the committee, but to the American people. The FBI only works when it is independent. It only works when it operates free from political pressure, when it can honestly report what it needs, and when it resists being turned into a tool of power. That is what made the hearing so alarming. Patel's responses did not show confidence, preparation, or control. They revealed disorder, a director without a plan, an agency losing experienced staff, missing legally required documents, and internal actions that looked less like reform and more like retaliation. This was not a debate. It was a warning sign. One of the nation's most critical institutions is being stripped of the resources, people, and independence it needs to function. Regardless of where you stand politically, the facts remain unchanged. The FBI appeared at its own budget hearing without a budget, without a spending plan, without a timeline, and without clear answers on how it intends to protect Americans during a time of rising threats and growing instability. Patty Murray did not expose a routine leadership failure. She revealed a structural crisis, a deliberate weakening of the system at the exact moment the country needs strength and clarity. And the danger goes beyond staffing shortages. The confusion, the silence, the missing documents create blind spots that criminals exploit, blind spots that extremists depend on, blind spots that put every American at risk. If you've watched this far, you already understand how serious this moment is. So here's what you can do. Don't let this story fade away. Share this video so others understand what's happening inside the nation's top law enforcement agency. Leave a comment and tell us whether Congress should force Director Patel to deliver the missing budget immediately. Hit like to help this reach more people, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive, as we continue uncovering what's happening behind the scenes and what it means for your safety, your rights, and the future of independent justice in America.